I saw a ghost and the ghost spoke to me. If you think this is not true, exaggeration, just a made-up story, I want you to explain how this happened, and feel free to get the Skeptics Association in to explain how this happened. So I need a little bit of background first. So quickly, 1982, I bought a V8 hobby car and I started drag racing with it. I found a really great mechanic who had a business working on ordinary cars, but also a highly successful business building drag races for other people. People went to him and had their engines built and gearboxes and differentials. Over the next 30 years, my wife Helen and I collected collector cars, hobby cars. We always had 4 or 5 at any one time, as well as our day-to-day drivers, and we would go to hot rod shows and car shows and rock and roll shows, and when we went, we would take 2 cars. We'd go in one each. Some of the kids would be in one car, some of the kids would be in another car, even to the point where when the eldest son had a driver's license, he would drive one car, I'd drive one. It was a bit crazy, but you've got to have a hobby. Over that whole 30-year period, I always used that same mechanic for absolutely everything. It was a one-man business, and then his son came along, and he joined the business as well. This was Mike and Chris. For 30 years, we became good friends. We'd always meet for Christmas drinks. We would meet up at car shows and say good day and rock and roll shows, met their partners, very good friends. A sad day came when we had to leave suburbia, and some things about leaving suburbia were a bit sad. We were going further away from our family, but also moving 300 kilometres into the country. We weren't going to see Mike and Chris anymore after 30 years of working on all our cars and hobby cars. So we had been at this rural residence for a number of years, and one night I had a dream. In that dream, the son, Chris, adult son, obviously, adult, married, kids, the adult son came to me in that dream and he said, Steve, Dad's died and we don't want to close the workshop for the funeral. Could you and Helen come to the workshop and just sit in the workshop, and when customers come or the phone rings, will you just tell people there's no one there at the moment, can't take appointments, and just to tell people what's happened. So yes, Chris, of course Helen and I will do that. It's okay, this is a good thing, we can help you even though we won't be going to the funeral. So then the scene in my dream changes and I'm sitting on a chair, Helen's beside me in the workshop, looking out their big roller door, the sun's shining, and a man comes in. He says, oh, where's Mike and Chris? So I explain what's happened. That person then looks to his right, my left, and that wall of the workshop had wall shelving upon shelving, and it was filled with trophies. These people were drag racers themselves, and a trophy for drag racing can be a metre tall, big metre tall trophies. And those guys in their workshop, every time I'd been there, there was just all of these trophies and plaques and paper, newspaper clippings from all their successes. And this guy, in my dream, turns and looks at the wall and says, oh, where's all the trophies gone? And then I look and I see the wall's completely blank. And then I wake up. So what happened is, that might not sound much, but that was such an incredibly powerful, disturbing dream that I honestly believed Mike had died. And so once 9 o'clock comes around the next day, I tell Helen about this and I say, Helen, I've just got to ring. I have to ring. So 9 o'clock comes, I watch the time and I ring the workshop. Hadn't seen these guys for years because we've moved 300 kilometres away. When the phone rings, it's almost immediately picked up. And it's Mike. He's not dead. I recognise the voice instantly. I say, oh, Mike, Steve Westmacott, bit of an introductory chat. Just very briefly, just ringing to catch up. Look, mate, I'm going to be honest with you. I have to tell you about this crazy dream I had last night. Chris came to me in this dream. He told me you were dead. He asked me to look after your workshop. And I just had to ring to make sure you're okay. And Mike said to me, Steve, Chris got killed on the weekend. Chris got killed at a drag racing event. I've only come in here today, the workshop's shut. I've only come in here today to take down all these damn trophies, and I'm going to throw them all away. And I'm not reopening the business. And when the phone rang, I was just coming up to lock the office door, and the phone rang, and I just thought I'd answer the phone. Now I've told you that video, I told you that story, and if you're still watching, I can't describe to you how I feel right now telling that story, and I hope I've done it justice, because there was a dream that Chris came to me and told me his dad had died, and would I look after the workshop, and somebody comes into the workshop and looks at the trophy wall and says, where have all the trophies gone? And I wake up, and the next morning I ring straight away, and it's not Mike that's died, it's Chris, who has just been killed in a drag racing accident. I was crying when I'm talking to Mike. That's how upset I was. And Mike had only come into the workshop to take all those trophies off the wall and throw them away. And the workshop actually never reopened after that. So, explanation? What's your explanation? Chris came to me that night. There's no doubt about it in my mind. What's your explanation? Hey? Cheers.